All right, so this is going to be a very good one. So this is with one of my clients, Justin, who's doing around close to 200. We're around that 180 mark per month. We scaled from 30K all the way to 180K from June of 2022 to June of 2023. And this talk mainly is going to go over in the beginning about like the marketing aspects, but then afterwards we're going to talk about how we're using the third step. If you haven't watched that, you'll see it in my first video of making sure how to implement these 3 steps to surpass 250, 500K per month, and the actual game plan that we have to actually get there. And literally just recently, before actually filming this, I actually got a Slack message of one of the head coaches who is gathering all that data right now. So this is typically a one-on-one call of what it looks like. You'll see it's going to be an overview of the team meeting first of all, because I meet with them weekly, and then afterwards it's going to be with Justin as well. So enjoy, pause, ask questions if you have any below, and let's dive right in.
Yeah, cool. Awesome. All right, so I'll transition to this. So this guide was really, or this post, it was very multifaceted, and I just kind of want your feedback from the setter's end, right? So it's like I asked 4,000 ladies in our Wild Nutrition group, what are the biggest mistakes? Hormones, protein, binging, weekends, drinking, and then have you guys seen that it's giving it? People are wanting different guides from it specifically.
Menopause, that's like huge.
Okay.
Menopause and the binging one has been pretty big
Yeah.
the past 2 days.
Okay. Cool. We can maybe you know more of this than I do, obviously, Justin, but like I think we could maybe have like a post directly to hormones and binging.
Yeah.
That would be really good, I feel like, based on just this data, because this was kind of like an open net, and I just wanted to see based on this, like what is getting the most response. Yeah, go ahead.
I realized, maybe I'm wrong, but like menopausal women, when they come, like we don't sell them that much. I don't know, maybe because they're older, or I don't know, but just like they just want like free information. I realized that to be.
Okay.
I do feel like on the positive side with those people though, they're more willing to book calls though, just because they like talking on the phone more than like the younger generation.
That's true.
Yeah. Just to get a positive and a negative out of it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I see that all as a negative because they're also taking up our time on the calls and not buying, you know?
Yeah.
So that's how I view it. But either way, I think we do our diligence on it. There are people in there that do sign up with us that are in menopause. I mean, I sign up somebody every week with it. So it's not like nobody sales coming. So, I mean, obviously that means Jack with those people to find them. And so that's just the way we need to go with it. So
maybe with the hormones geared more towards like thyroid and like postpartum PCOS, like go more that route than for.
Yeah, I put it in my thing to make more guides. I'm gonna boost this one because I stopped the boost yesterday. We got to a little over $4.
Oh, that's why.
Okay. Yeah, I stopped it literally just last night. So we got up to over $4 cost per follower. And so with that being that high, you know, it lasted 3 weeks at $300 a day, which is like great. I mean, yeah, we got over 2,000 followers from that post. I want to go ahead and boost this. I want to go ahead and boost the Chandler one. We have a lot that we can try. So it'll give us time to make a menopause one specifically. It'll give me time to make a binge eating one seriously, and go from there. So
yeah, I think we could still push the menopause and see, because we have a really tight system. It's really just about the language, right? So, and this is just a good, like, say, this is also good just to know on Olu your end, like where did this person come from, like so on, and even for you, Justin, and everybody actually. So like think of it, if we're pushing menopause, like maybe people don't buy, we do have a system where people are still booking, some could be financially qualified, right? Whatever may be happening, I think on the setter zone, and we'll go to closer, right, is like it's just the language, right? Because there's a different dream, there's a different promise from somebody who's like in their 30s and wants to like look and feel like they cross it. The language is more like you almost want to guide them to be like, hey, this is super important, because like you're not doing this to like, you know, look super fit. You're doing this to just make sure that like you have, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'm just kind of trying to, speak the language of it, but like, you're doing this because now that you're in your latter years, like you do want to make sure that, yeah, you're decently fit, like you're healthy, but like you're investing in something for your long-term health,
And you
so
feel
that,
good, yeah.
yeah, you feel good in your body. But I think maybe we can squeeze into this area that maybe we have or haven't, of like, deep down inside, it's like, okay, you're in your 50s or something, and it's like you're probably doing this so you don't have future injuries. You can still feel athletic but not old, and all these different things. And maybe we can kind of guide them a little bit into that from the setters and on the closers end, because that's what they're really buying. You know what I mean? It's going
Yeah.
to be a different avatar from like somebody who's in their 30s, who's like, oh, I just want to look good, feel good, like all these things. Does that kind of land, guys? Does that kind of make
Yeah.
sense? Or
100%. Language.
yeah. Okay, cool. So I would just say keep that in mind. Okay, binging at night. That could be another one that we can create. Cool. Cool, man. How you doing?
Doing good, man. Just the work working on everything. Everything's smooth, like with the
Yeah.
Calendly and getting Olu going. He's just had a couple calls so far. So we'll see what it results in the next couple weeks. Like we'll really know next week and the week after, like, has he closed anybody? Um, can he show up on time? Can he do some of the basic stuff, you
Mhm.
know?
Yeah.
And stuff like that. So I think that's kind of the next biggest steps. And so getting, his videos and stuff is going to be important. But I feel like everything is good so far with him,
Yeah. Yeah. I like him. I think obviously I'm analyzing him. I'm always analyzing everybody. He seems pretty good. I think like the biggest thing about so like this is going to be kind of a theme of what we're going to talk about today, but like the difference between setters and closers is like setters are kind of just like hungry because they're starting out, right?
Yeah.
So like you can almost expect like a natural drive from them, right? Because they're like, oh, like I'm trying to make some of myself, I'm just I'll do whatever I need to do, and they're kind of doing like the groundwork, if we're being honest, right? They're kind of like
Yeah.
have this expectation. With closers are in a position where like they've probably done setting for 2 or 3 years, or they're just good at their sales skills. They like closers are the people who like invested like 5 to 10, even like 15K, 20K into like real sales training, and have worked in a couple offers, and now they're kind of looking for like the right fit, especially good closers. So all I'm
Yeah.
just trying to say is that like the best closers are the most selfish from what I've seen, rightfully so, because they're like, man, like I want to make good money. I know I'm good. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Uh, so in order for them to stay, right? Obviously, this is a good offer where they can actually get like good opportunity with making money. I don't think we have an issue with like no shows or an issue with like quality. Like we're good. But I think what's going to help Olu stay internally, just from analyzing him, is like, can I grow? Right? Because like the money he'll be making, but like, can I grow? And I think the more we both keep tight on him, right? Like, hey man, like do this, like, hey, make sure you make sure you don't forget doing this and this and that. But the more we also, the bigger thing, Justin, is going to be the more we give him the training and skill overview, right? The more he's gonna be like, oh man, I'm in a good offer. Yeah, I'm making money, but I'm also growing in my skills ability, my salesmanship. So I think this is gonna be a good month where I'm gonna kind of like show you of how I overview calls, right? Like I'm gonna do a Loom video of his calls, show you like what the
Yeah.
process is. So then now if we add more people into this system, because the setters are kind of easy, right? It's like a numbers thing, right? And
Yeah.
then call is easier, but now it's gonna be like, what happens when we have 3 closers? Like how do you oversee that? Because closers are more complex. They require time, they require motivation, like all these the different things. So yeah, so I think like my main goal for us this month is like obviously the Justina thing, but mainly like with the Loom video, just kind of showing you how I overview calls, because you know, we have to be very tight in that process as well. And that might be something that you add on as you maybe shift a little bit away, you know, as Olu kind of increases a little bit more calls.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Any questions on that? Does that make sense?
No, it seems good. I think
Yeah.
we, like you said, we just got to stay tight on him. I
Yeah.
told him once he does his first couple calls, I'll do a call with him
Mhm.
to view everything. But yeah, if he gets over at least that, those first couple videos, you can start analyzing, and then we can go through it, you know, as a team. You
Yeah,
know?
yeah, 100%. Yeah, and like the reason I want to show it to you is because I want you to feel like you have the ability to just like do it yourself eventually. So then you kind of know,
Yeah.
you know, and I'll always be doing it, of course, but for you to be like, because you're a smart guy, you pick up things quickly, right? So like you'll be like, okay, this is what Dennis is doing. Okay, like how am I gonna do this with my team? You
Right.
know?
Yeah.
So and I'll explain that as the process goes, because it's gonna get more complex as he has more calls. And like what's kind of the daily thing that I do when I have some closers that I oversee, you know, and like what that process looks like. Did you have any questions? I feel like marketing check, we already know ahead of time, the boosted posts, shout outs. I mean, did you want to talk about like threads or anything, or like you feel like I
Yeah, I
feel like
just
we're very
don't.
focused like on what we're doing.
Yeah. I just don't want to like, you know, like when a new platform comes up, you know, that's where the growth, like, you could see a lot of growth in those beginning stages.
Mhm.
Um, And so I don't want to miss out on it if you feel it's something that we absolutely need to be, you know, managing or making
Yeah.
sure that we're on there, you know. But I think it's connected to the followers on Facebook, on Instagram. So like all your Instagram followers can see your threads. You import your audience into thread. I don't fucking know how it works, you know.
Yeah, yeah,
But like, so like that's where I'm at with it. You know, that's all. I just kind of wanted to know more about it, making sure, like in the business world, you know, is it something that,
how to apply it.
you know,
Yeah.
or is it the distraction for these business coaches making business, you know, just coaches in general making 5 to 10K, and they're like, oh, because I'm seeing that a lot. I know I'm
Yeah.
friends with a lot of coaches, and they're like, have you made threads yet? Da da da. I have this one person, her name is Jessica, and she runs an agency. She makes like 10K a month. She doesn't fucking make anything, maybe less, you know. And everything she tells me, like that she's doing and everything, I just automatically assume that the opposite is correct, because she gets caught up in like all the
Yeah.
bullshit, you know. So like she sent me this threads thing and like all this stuff, and hey, I'm doing this and this and da 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 da. And so is it just a distraction for some of those smaller businesses to get caught up in, or like is it something that we need to be on, I guess, you know?
Yeah, I kind of view it like as an extension. So here's like the difference of like it's about analyzing the market, right? So like to be honest, we have to look at like your funnel and like the offer that you're in this in the market, right? So like one, CrossFit, right? Like you're the leading dog, the lead dog in this, like of like selling higher ticket. You have a team, you're making some real money, right? So um that in itself is like, okay, like, you know, you don't really need to step out and kind of do a lot of things, but and then you also have to look at your funnel, right? So like with that being said, you can be almost successful with like any platform because it's a blue ocean for you, right?
Yeah,
um
makes sense.
uh with that being said, your funnel is directly tied to a Facebook group shout out, but mainly lots of good Instagram shout outs as well, and boosted posts, right? So it's like that's working. So I view it as like an extension. I would probably just do a direct call to, or not like call to action, like a invite to follow on your stories. Like if you haven't followed me on Threads yet, like download it and just follow me. I'll be posting like my daily like tips, like in, you know, whatever. And then you can just have it as a way where you're just like honestly just sharing your thoughts. And more, I'm not sharing your thoughts about like Justin as a business owner, but Justin as like the CEO of CBG, right? Of
Mhm.
oh, uh like little things like crazy how my client Ashley, you know, lost XYZ in just 10 pounds. Goes to show that all you need is the right information and like you know, and to invest in yourself to really just like reach the goals that you wanted to in the past 2 years, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah, that's good.
I wonder how many people, you know, it's kind of funny that people sometimes don't invest themselves, but they're still paying $200 per month on CrossFit and still not seeing results. LOL. Just a random thought. Little things like that.
Yeah, makes sense.
And those things are super quick that it can just be in your head and you just put it. And that could just be
put it down.
And then eventually we can always have like any free, like once you build up your audience, we can always have like a free resource giveaway like they have on Twitter, right? Like I just came out with blah blah blah, like my menopause guide for women who are struggling to XYZ. Comments, menopause if you want access. Jackie, Hin, and Gabby are gonna be CBG thread, and they can also book those people that they couldn't book on Instagram. It's like an extension. It's like your Facebook group.
Yeah. We're not gonna go. Okay. So
yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, but right now, just kind of build some value, get some followers coming in from your own Instagram page. Maybe every week you can put like, if you haven't followed me, and just kind of just play with it as a CEO, and then it's an extension. That's all it is. That's how I see it.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Boosted post check. I think honestly, Justin, everything's smooth, man. We're ahead of the game on the marketing stuff. We already know we're going to start posting. Setters are doing great. You're doing great. I think the best thing is just overviewing things with Olu. And Justina is obviously TBD, right? Like we're going to wait on that data. Any questions on your end, man? I mean, I feel like.
No, I think I was talking to we're hiring 3 new coaches. All going to be with the intention of full time. We had 2 part-time coaches, kind of like they were making their transition out. We knew they were, which is fine. It's going to end amicably in a way that's good for everybody, good for us especially, because then I can just have full-time coaches that actually want to be around and not just making this little side hustle thing. I'm trying to get Jackie to go full time, but she's scared, but she almost made what her projection was to quit last month. So I said, look, what are we going to do? So I want to see what the potential is for her in the summer. Because I think we need 2 full-time setters, we can't have this part-time bullshit. This is not going to work. And so that'll be good if we can get her. I would like to make that improvement. With the couple new coaches, one of the coaches, I was on the interview. We already hired them, and I said, "Hey, give me a call." And she said, Mike Malloy at M2 Performance Nutrition, which is a competitor of ours. She worked for him for multiple years. She said that they went from 900 clients a month to 750 over the last couple years. So they're trending down.
Yeah, they're declining.
Made me think. Yeah. Because they're low. They're like $200, $250 a month, or track your macros. It's the same shit, And I'm like, fuck. Then they do month to month.
Yeah.
And I'm like 750 clients month to month. That's where we need to be. Yeah. We need to be at 700 clients, 1,000 clients that are just paying their fucking monthly dues. Just like on fucking repeat. That's what we need. I think we're a year out from that, but I don't see why we can't do that. And so that literally the secret is the fulfillment on the back end. Like that is a fucking hack. Like just how do we get that? Just a constant system that's just like going. There are 500 people every month that are fucking paying 300, 200, 250. We're signing up 20 people a week also, and they're signing up. All these sort of things, and so that's going to be the secret for really where we want to be. Because right now, I think that's why it always feels like we're at this fucking grind, and it feels like unsteady. It feels like a fucking. It's unsteady. Like, what happens if we don't sign up this many people this month? We're down to that's literally what our revenue is based on. How many people I sign up. Yeah. That's what it's based on, right?
And marketing and like, are the setters doing their job? Are they booking?
That's it. And so that's a part of the game, right? I get that. And so we've done a really good job of knowing what that looks like, and we're going to keep improving it and do more shout outs and all these things. but the back end, like we got to get that ironed out. Like it has
Yeah.
to be where 1 out of every 3 people are just, they're fucking going for 6 months. They're going for a year. They keep fucking paying.
Mhm.
And yeah, so I think that's very important. The other thing is Hind is like telling me how overwhelming messages are end of the week. And so I think we really need to get that person in there that's going to
Okay.
do. Yeah.
Yeah, we were
And
gonna
then
talk about that today.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
We'll see like what that looks like, just because, you know, I mean, honestly, like I would love to just have Hind oversee everything
Yeah.
with that.
Yeah, she's good at
And
that.
yeah, she's good at that. We'll have her do that, and we can get Jackie and Gabby out the messages. You know, you just
Yeah.
say this person just books the calls for him, Gabby, and Jackie, and we have 1 or 2 people doing that. That's how I
Mhm.
envision it. I know somebody needs to be in the system. I think that person is Hind.
Mhm.
And we could have 2 or 3 people. We pay very little per month to just take care of all the messages, you know. But at least first, we need to get somebody in there and see how they improve
Yeah.
everything. And Hind's
Yeah.
got to train them up and all that stuff. So
Yeah, the way I see it right now, because it's going to be a transition, the way I see it right now is maybe we have somebody just for a couple hours a day who's just like supporting the messages. Maybe it might be like in the evening or like early morning. So like then Gabby, Hin, and Jackie are like set up to just like boom, book, book, book. And they're always there, but they have maybe like a monthly just fee that they're just like messaging. And then if it turns to a position, this is a system that can be introduced, is then sometimes what happens is you end up having like strictly vested full-time DM setter, right? And then they're the
right,
ones booking the calls. So then like typically in a system like this, where you have social media, you have appointment setters, they always phase out from the appointment setter who's doing DMs and triage calls to now just taking triage calls. And then the you know, we have just a DM setter who's booking for the, you know, the appointment setter, stuff like that. I think we can get to that system at the right sweet spot once we start collecting data and implementing the systems with the LTV, the referrals, and the refunds, because now we're not paying for something out of 2K for the team to close somebody. We're paying out, let's say somebody signs up for 50, so 3,500. So then our margins improve by like 20%. You know,
right.
like, and then it makes sense to kind of have that. So I think like simultaneously we can get that sweet spot as we're increasing the margins, and then it won't hurt per se. You know, it'll just be like, oh, it just makes sense. And does
Right.
that, you know what I mean? And then at that time, I think Olu, let's say maybe another closer like 3 months out, you know, comes in and now they're fully booked. You're taking 1 or 2 calls 3 times a week, maybe, or twice a week, just to get a feel, you know,
Yeah.
or if not, you know, and then yeah. So kind of touching on that topic, with any questions on that, by the way?
No, that's
Okay.
good. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I wanted. Yeah.
Q3, I guess like the next couple months. So obviously we have a call with Justina. We are in this process. I typically say there's like a 3-step process. Like we validated the offer, we know how to build a team, and now we're kind of going into like the product to make sure that it sells itself for increasing LTV. So ultimately the goal obviously is LTV. When we get that data from Justina, let's talk upsells, right? So like selling them to the 6-month or the 12-month program, like with those activation points. So like what I'm trying to say is like the data brings opens up more micro things that we could do with the team, right? So like now that we have these coaches, and then Justina's going to monitor them, and she's also going to implement the system herself, like we're going to talk about like how can we get somebody to get badass results, right? And it's going to introduce these little things, like maybe like we include more like 24/7 support through messaging, or maybe like we have to get back to a client within like, you know, a certain time frame, or maybe, you know, all these different things open up, or maybe we give them more guides and more resources, or we do something for them to feel supported, or maybe like we open up more group coaching calls or whatever. And we're going to play with that system. We're going to play that with the referrals, obviously with the referral system we talked about. That all has to do with results, and then we're going to play with that with the refunds, especially, right? Boom, you sign up somebody to sign an agreement, Justina's like already on board, like, hey, book a call right here or whatever. Or something happens where it's just like they're like, man, I'm getting support, I'm getting more than enough. Maybe we're like, hey, here's a free t-shirt, what's your address? Like all these different things, right?
Yeah.
And so that's gonna, like my main goal with that is just to open up maybe gray spots that potentially might be there, and just making sure those holes are filled, you know,
Yeah.
and just
Yeah.
like the most incredible experience I've ever had. To like, I have to refer. I'm not going to refund. I am going to buy 12 months. You know, so that's my main goal as
Right.
we kind of get this data.
Yeah.
Any questions on that?
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like we have so many things that you said already in our system, like
Yeah.
with everything. And so finding those gray spots to make our program better is like pretty exciting, you know?
Yeah. It just
Um,
it can always be like better per se, right? It can always be like
yeah.
superb and all these things. So
Right.
it'll be cool
Because
to even.
we had 2 group coaching calls per week, and then we just put it down to 1 because a lot of people weren't showing up for the
Mhm.
Monday call. So we're like, look, we're just going to do Thursday. This is what we're going to do. And so now we do 1 per week on Thursday nights, you
Mhm.
know? And so like I think we're already giving a lot, meaning like we even back,
Mhm.
you know, it was like this is unnecessary that we're doing this, you know?
Mhm.
So in other ways, how can we get people supported, you know?
Yeah, and we're
Yeah, I
gonna
need
do a
to think.
survey too. We'll give a survey like, what do you guys need? What will help you guys the best? What times work for you best? Why will you show up to this call? Right? Like,
Right.
there's all these different things that
Right.
we can. We'll get to that. I mean, like right now, like it's not. I want to know the data first, so then we can implement the holes, or cover these holes. But that's kind of where my mind is at. I think Q4 is going to be a strong push where like we probably have 2 closers. Um, the marketing, doing its thing. We maybe implement that DM to triage appointment setter system, and then the product is selling itself. And
Yeah.
then next year it'll just be like this smooth, like, man, everything's just working like butter. It still is, right? But like even more so,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Okay.
And then it'll be like, what's the support for the upsell system? Like, how can, anyways. But yeah. Any questions?
No, everything is good. I'm gonna input some data and stuff that I need to
Yeah.
input for you, and then and just transition over for July some of those numbers.
Okay.
So
Yeah, you're in a good place, man. Like you're in a really like this is the stuff that a lot of people end up staying stuck here because they don't know the phase that they have to get into. How to team build and how to find good people and how to make sure that everything is we like, because a lot of times people end up staying like, oh man, I hired the wrong person, and then now they left, and then all these different things they don't know how to train, and then more so knowing that LTV really matters, right?
yeah,
And you don't want to be in this like cycle like every single month, like, all right, now I have to
no,
sign
it's
up
not
more
good.
clients, more. Yeah, it's like, how do I, and you hear it all the time, right? From like other people, like, oh, like,
Yeah.
oh, it's like, well, like, how do you do it? And this is a system, and we're just getting the data. Cool, man. Next thing I'll do is I'll do a Loom review of Olu's call that he'll send over shortly.
Okay.
I'll kind of let you know. I'll do it in a perspective of like, hey, Justin, this is what I'm looking at, stuff like that. And
Yeah.
then we'll keep doing that. And then if you have any other questions, just let me know. I think for next week we can get on the menopause. I'll help with the editing, of course, the menopause, and then the binging will be kind of cool to kind of play around with to see, you know.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Okay, that sounds good.
yeah,
Yeah, no other questions. I'm good to go.
cool, man. Awesome, man. You're killing it. And then enjoy your weekend, man. We'll chat soon.
All right, man. Later.
All right, so hopefully you enjoyed that. I think that gave lots of aspects of how we end up going inside with the marketing aspect and leverage the boosted posts, the shout outs, all that good stuff, and understanding where the setters are at, and then making sure that in our one-on-one call, which I typically have weekly with all the owners, is to make sure, where they're at in the business, honestly, even like emotionally, like where's their head at, but more so, really more so, what are the things that we have to work on to leverage and make sure that we can scale to the next level? For some people, it's team. For some people, it's hiring. For some people, it's marketing. For some people, it's sales. For some people, in this case, it's how to make sure you can get the product to sell itself. We're on that step 3, and I'm going to explain that journey and give you more updates. Now, if you want something that could be helpful, I am creating a sheet of LTV to understand like how to make sure that you can have all these numbers calculated in the correct order. If you want access to that, go to my Instagram, follow me, and DM me LTV or comment here below.